Thank you for taking the time to click on lore. We hope you enjoy the show. Don't forget to like and subscribe here and follow us on Twitch at www.twitch.tv/slipperysteve.
I would like to do that.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Now would be a good time to tell you guys that we've been live for the past 2 minutes.
Oh, good. Oh, good. That's
2021, baby. Off to a good roll.
Pull this up here.
Hello. Hello. How's everybody doing? Welcome to the Lore Lounge 2021. That's not what we're going to call it, because that would be exhausting after 364 days of 2021. Okay, anyway. So I am the guy making the things happen, and I'm joined by a super special guest today. I'm already talking in their voice because this is what we do.
That's what happens when we get together, buddy.
Our voices change every time. Kyle Bronigan, longtime friend and also D&D advocate and DM, super duper dude.
Thanks, buddy.
And
You're a super swell guy yourself.
Well, thank you. And up above me is Tony Jabroni. Don't leave me alone, and please lay your hands off my
macaroni.
That's baloney.
Hello. Baloney again. You used it twice. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tony.
That's true. That's true. What's up, Tony?
Howdy.
So let's all tell everybody a little bit about ourselves. So Tony, why don't you start? Who you is, what you do, who you play on this show and stuff.
I'm from Houston, Texas, and I play a paladin Aasimar named Radowin Greenfold.
And all the paladins are bigger in Texas.
Absolutely.
The shield's
He's about 6'4".
Yeah.
Awesome. And Kyle, tell us who you are and what you do.
Well, what's up, everyone? My name's Kyle. I'm here in York, PA, like literally right down the street from the hostess with the mostest here, Ferg, longtime friend, longtime friend of the show. You know, coming in and
friend of the show.
Play a little D&D, DM a little D&D, just all kinds of fun stuff. But glad to be here. Go talk D&D. So I came a running. I love that D&D chat. So let's do that.
Yeah, let's talk the D&D. Well, for starters, man, let's talk about the show that you have on. Well, I call everything a show now because of fucking Twitch. The campaign you have going on that you DM.
Sure.
Tell us all about that.
Sure, absolutely. Talk about myself. Like I can't.
That's
all right.
hard.
So real quick. So I've been DMing an awesome group of players for. Wow. We play every other week, so it sounds elongated, but it's weird when you think about the numbers. But we've been playing for
3 years.
3 years now. Yeah. In the beginning, we were doing every week, then schedules, and then things. So it's every other week, but we still have a great group of kids that I'm taking through a steampunk setting, which is pretty cool. So still have some of the classics in there. We're still running like a D&D 5e kind of bullet point game set of rules. You know, it's D20s and things, but instead of traveling by horse, we have mech stangs. Instead of traveling by carriages, we have tanks, and we have airships flying around. So there's all kinds of cool stuff. And yeah, I mean, honestly, we're at the point now where I guess we're all level 9, going to be level 10 soon, and really deep into. Ooh, look at that! That's an actual like a westerny steampunky kind of setting. I like that.
You like that?
Oh shit! I just noticed.
Yeah. Yeah. They actually just went through an area just very similar to that, like a desert area. So it's like you're reading my mind, Tony. I like it. We're on that same page already. I dig it.
I got you.
My man. Yeah, they're kind of like halfway through the story, if you will. So, we're diving into backstories and the overall backstory. they just got to a place called Scavenger City, which is, I'm really excited for them to explore. It's put a lot of time and effort into this, where it's like, just like in the name, it's inside of a mountain, and you kind of have to know a guy to get in or to even hear about it. But there's no governing base, so it's really it's very wild westerny in terms of there's no judges, there's no guards, there's no town guards. It's very crazy, I guess is the way to put it. So there's I don't want to say too much because I want them to explore it themselves because they just got there, but lots of cool stuff in terms of cybernetics and airships and all kinds of things. And yeah, it's gonna be cool. So we're like halfway through the overall overall arc of the story, and yeah, it's a good group. We're at the point right now where I really don't even have to DM that much anymore. They do all the RP, and they're just rolling right through, and they ask questions, and I tell them answers, and then we keep going. So we've come a long way. But yeah, I'm really excited.
Must be nice.
Well, I mean, it took us a while. I mean, like I said, we're 3 years in, man. So
Yeah.
you know, there's been struggles along the way and things, and we lost we lost a character, but like early in the adventure we lost a player in terms of he couldn't, again, schedules, that's how D&D works. But yeah, 6 out of 7 still ain't bad. But yeah, really good stuff. And again, I can't tell you how awesome the players are, so I always give it back to them. I just have a sandbox and they go play in it and try not to break everything.
And I want to point out too, this started with not 5, not 4, 7 players. And your first time like legitimately DMing a campaign, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, we had our little campaign going there for a while with Dave and the boys.
Yeah.
And kind of going back and forth between that. But yeah, in terms of legit streaming every week, we're doing a thing.
Yeah.
Also the wall campaign thing. Yep. But
I have to put my hat on and take my hat off to you, sir.
Oh.
'Cause that's what I do.
Well, you also have another hat on, so I understand having to. It's a lot. It's a lot of hats.
That hat kind of phased into the
My
back.
hat.
Yeah. As you
Yes.
took it off, vanished.
My hat is
Which was
off
impressive.
to you, sir.
But yeah, again, it's they're a good group, man. But they be one thing. It was just 6 of us just looking at each other for 3 hours. But you know, I kind of give them something to do, and either they do it or they don't, or they do something completely different. And, you know, sometimes you just roll with the punches of it. But overall, yeah, we're at that halfway point. So I'm excited to see where we go on the second half. We'll see what happens.
Awesome.
I'll keep you updated.
So while we have you for the time, let's pick your brain a little bit as far as a player and a DM. What's the just off the top of your head, if that's even possible to answer,
Okay.
what's one or maybe 2 events that were just mind-blowing to you? Like, how did the player come up with this? Only at my table would this happen. Only at Kyle Brodigan's table would this shenanigans happen.
Okay. Good question. All right. So, okay, one jumps to mind right off the rip. So, I want to set this up correctly. They were going to a wedding, right? I'll let you peek behind the screen for this one. So this wedding was going to be a very big jumping off point in terms of the overall story. So there's the overall story and there's the character story, right? You know, they're always dancing with each other. The overall story goes no matter what the characters are doing, and the character stories are, you know, whether or not they interact with things, that kind of thing, right? And at this wedding, they knew something was going to happen from interaction with an NPC way long ago, and they knew something was happening at this wedding. They didn't know what, but they knew something, so they were kind of like on high alert. They didn't want to. And this is what's really cool is like they had these conversations like, do we stop the wedding before it happens? Do we roll with the wedding so we can see what the thing is, so we can like what do we want to do? which is so great. So their plan was to investigate the wedding the day before, right? And they did. So much so that, again, looking behind the DM screen, there was the altar where the wedding was happening. Under the table was a glyph that, when certain words were said, the glyph would activate, opening a portal to the abyss where just hell unleashed on earth was happening, right? This was probably like the biggest like key unlock to the game. Basically everything leading up to this point was setting up for the next half, where they learned like who the bad guys were, like have you both watched Critical Role? I know Ferg, you have. Tony, have you watched Critical Role at all? Or I don't want to do any spoilers or nothing.
I have not.
Okay, so this won't shatter any dimensions here or anything, but it was set up in a way for it to be very when they were in Whitestone and all the dragons attacked, right?
Yeah.
Set up like all the things that were coming, right?
Kind of the diving board into the
Yes,
story.
yes, the diving board.
Yeah.
Yes. So the idea was that they would jump off the diving board the day of the wedding when the thing happens. That was their plan, was to be prepared as they possibly could for whenever said thing happened, they were ready. They didn't know what the thing was, they just knew the when. In the course of investigating the wedding area the day before, they knocked said table over, breaking said glyph, and erupting the Armageddon a day early. So in the night before the wedding, there's demons and all these crazy shit coming out of this portal. And I was like, oh, okay, well, let me just, here's all the maps. And then we just started fighting things. Like, you know what I mean? So, like, as a DM, you think you have, like, one more week or two to prepare all the maps. I had them ready just in case, because, like you said, God forbid, whatever. But that was, like, a bit... And, like, what's really fun is that for the character who it happened to, it's such a big part of her, like, character story now, is that she's kind of klutzy and things like that, that, of course, of all people, she would be the one to activate the portal to the abyss. Like, why wouldn't it be? So that's definitely the one right off the rip where that's probably a highlight in terms of I didn't see that coming, but it all because of a natural one too. That's, of course. Oof. Like what else would it be?
Yeah. And when you say you had maps prepared, you talking about like rolling Roll20?
Yeah, on Roll20, yeah, I had maps ready in terms of, like I said, I knew from the bad guy side that at the wedding is where the bad guy had the idea of unleashing this unholiness upon the earth, especially at this wedding, because there's like nobility there and all that kind of stuff. So it's a really good place to kill a lot of eggs in one basket kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had to like add some quick lighting to it real quick to make it seem like it was nighttime in terms of just that. But other than that, yeah, I mean, I had the map ready. I was like, and then and all the bad guys, and I was like, all right, well, I guess we're just doing this a day early. So that's I wanted to leave that cliffhanger of that session to be the next time we played was going to be the wedding. Instead, roll initiative, and that's where we were.
Now, you started off when you're at least on your YouTube videos, just using Theater of the Mind. When did you transition into the Roll20? And was it a significant change for the better?
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, I'm not like the tech savviest person. It took a lot of playing around and practice, and actually one of my players, Nick, who knows a lot more about it than I do, kind of walked me through some more stuff too, so that definitely helped. But there's definitely been a very I don't want to say gradual, but steady, we'll say steady, sure, change from maybe I had, if there was 10 fights in my head that may or may not happen in the next couple sessions, I may have had like one map ready, maybe at most two, and then just be ready for, they pick a fight with the guy in the tavern, that's a theater of the mind. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't have, but now I've definitely come to maybe I have 9 out of 10 ready. Like I'm really trying to spiderweb my brain and thinking of the 10 crazy things my people could do.
Oh wow.
And then, so that if they do start a fight with the person in the tavern, boop, I pull up a tavern and, like away we go. So I think it's definitely helped to, I'm no mind reader or anything, but I definitely try to make sure that, like with Scavenger City coming up, like I have a map specifically for each like highlighted place they could go, like the tavern, the weapons depot, the mine, like at least the key highlighted places. I have a map ready just in case they fight someone when they're there. They might not, and I never have to bring it up ever. But I just double it up for something else later, so that could always work too. But
we'll have to somewhere along the line we'll have to freeze frame that where we just had you like that, and then quote what you just said earlier. I'm no mind reader. Just
no mind reader, but I'm gonna try.
freeze frame.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's jump down to some other topics of discussion. Tony, when we were right before we went live, you were talking about some character choices and decisions that you have coming up possibly really soon.
Yeah.
As a level 2 player that's quite possibly rolling into level 3 in the next week or two.
Right. So I realized this past episode that there are 2 paladins in our party, so I was on the fence about switching over to a fighter, which is really just a paladin without jazz hands.
That was the
Makes sense.
Yeah.
It's just they still have a shield, they still swing a big dumb weapon, but they just can't lay hands.
Yeah.
And so I thought that would be the most natural transition to make in terms of switching over my character, just to not double up on paladins for the party. But I think just because of the race that I've chosen, Aasimar, and just the way that I built my character, I think I'm going to stick with paladin.
Yeah. So
that quickly, huh? That was like,
yeah, that was
we had
fast.
that conversation 10 minutes ago.
I know.
Ask me again tomorrow. But
Right.
why the paladin stick? Because I know, like, even just in the short conversations we've been having, but just really the vibe, or
I just decided to. I was thinking about it, and I actually went into my character sheet and I made all of the like stat changes and equipment changes and everything last night. And I was looking at it, and I was just thinking about like how the party works now, and I just decided to change everything back, just to stick to my guns, and if down the line something ends up happening, then I'll just pick a fighter for my next character.
Just to throw it out there, I don't know what page of the player's handbook, but you could always multi-class too. You don't have to, that kind of thing. But I know that's the real reason was not to necessarily multi-class with fighter, because you said about the paladin thing. But dude, paladins are great, man. I mean,
yeah.
you definitely deal out that sweet divine smite DPS as you go, man, and really
not just the damage, but I was thinking about how, like, we have a bard, a wizard, and another paladin, and just in terms of being versatile, right? So if the other paladin decides to use all their spell slots on smites, then we really don't have any healing. So that's why I decided to stick to the paladin as well, just to keep that versatility.
But if you kill everything before you need heals, then you don't even need the heals,
Yeah, just smite everything. You're getting smite. You're getting smite. You're getting smite. Real quick, just want to thank Baconators for popping in and for the follow. Appreciate it.
Hey,
see,
Nick.
that's Nick, the one of your players, right, from your campaign.
He plays Voltal, aka Volt, who has recently developed a knack for
Sneezing
electricity
disorder?
and lightning. Yep.
Achoo! Do you remember
Just destruction.
when we were playing? Was it Divinity 2?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna sneeze now. Achoo!
Achoo! Yep. But,
Okay.
yeah, welcome.
Good
What's up,
times.
man? Yeah, I love me some druids, dude. Druids probably like one of my favorite classes, but
Let's see. Let's talk about some DM tips and advice that you could share with us while we still have you for the next 5-10 minutes.
sure.
So we'll give you a scenario here.
Ooh.
New
Ooh.
new to DMing, and got a group of new players as well. Currently running a actual legitimate published campaign, but I want to put said DM wants to put his own flavor to things. So how would you go about doing something like that? And then we can just go into general tips, because I know you said you had some tricks up your sleeves that you wanted to share with me, so I'm definitely thinking it would be awesome to hear about that.
Sure. So the question was like, how do you take a module that's already made and make sure it has your own spin / player spin to it, or
Yeah, or fidget spin to it.
nice word, nice word play. I mean, I can tell you that. So I run my steampunk game for my guys, and I also run kind of off the side, maybe once a month kind of thing, because again, schedules. But I actually run a game for some people at my work, and I just took them through their first kind of like quest, if you will. I don't know how familiar you guys are with Tomb of Annihilation at all.
Oh my god. Yeah, I've
Okay.
never played it, but I know it's not meant for the ones that want to live long.
Right. So it was one of those things where I used that as one particular part where they get to this city called Amu, Amam, OMU. I don't know, Amu, whatever.
Yeah, sure.
But basically, all I did was I used the framework of that as, like I said, literally just the bullet points. Again, this won't give away too much stuff, but there's cubes. There's a city map, which was really helpful, so I didn't have to do that. And then there was maps for these different temples, and I kind of used this idea where when they got there, you can look it up. It's easy enough. A Google search of City of Amu or Imam or whatever. But basically, like every
City of my mom.
every time they took like a movement on the board, right, was like an hour in game. And then every time they moved somewhere, I had a different thing come up. So it could be a random encounter with, monkeys or whatever, or nothing happened, or they found a local treasure or something, right? And again, they had no idea that it was from Tomb of Annihilation or dinosaurs or you know what I mean? But it was really nice for me where all I had to do was use the bullet points to it and just let them run through it, right? Like at that point, I was really just kind of running Monopoly for them at that point. Like Monopoly's already set up with cash and the boardwalk and the pieces, and I just ran them through Monopoly at that point. But I still had some opportunities to really get creative with like why they were there. So like in Tomb of Annihilation, there's one reason for that. All I did was switch it over to, instead of these cubes being for the Tomb of Annihilation side, was that I switched it over to the cubes being for summoning a Cobra Dragon. That's it. So I just took the whole rest of the story. I just plucked out one part that I knew and understood, and then switched it over to my own thing. So the beginning and the end were me, but the meat and potatoes in the middle was still just a little snippet out of the module, and then they moved on to Null Pirates. So, but yeah, I've never actually ran straight up module beginning to end. I really like the modules for creative thinking, and also maybe a little bit of help when, like, especially for that scenario, not to sound lackluster, but I didn't want to put too much on paper into it, because one, I didn't know how long we were going to play, and two, I didn't know how long we were going to go. However, they really liked it, so now I got a whole bunch of shit I got to do now in terms of furthering on their campaign. Like, that was a really good training wheels quest to see if it was something that they wanted to do, and if they didn't like it, then I didn't waste. I don't want to say this in a mean way, but I didn't like waste my time making a whole campaign for them. It was really nice to like do a mini module, and if they liked it, now I made up a whole thing, because now I know that they're like committed to playing, you know. In terms of like their characters' backstories and stuff like that. But yeah, it was still a lot of fun. But yeah, I've never really ran a module like Curse of Strahd straight through. Like, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. Just because I don't know exactly how that works in terms of character development. I just know it's really cool for doing a thing, if that makes sense.
Oh, doing a thing, yeah. I watched Doctor Who. I know all about doing a thing.
Doing a thing.
Yeah, I originally started this A New Horizon out with I was a player, and our DM, like midnight the morning before we were supposed to go live, because we were accommodating his schedules back then, so we always had to start in the mornings, which sucked. But the dude at midnight like told me like, yeah, I'm out, I can't do this anymore, like life's too rough, yada yada. I'm like, whatever, fuck off, dude. And so it was just like, go to sleep, wake up, and then boom, we're streaming with 3 new players that have never played D&D before, and this is before Tony and Ricky joined. So I just had this weird player of them being themselves, visited by this like producer, and that takes them into his vocal booth and then like teleports them into the forgotten. Well, I didn't know what it was then, but I knew that I was planning on buying a campaign, so I bought the Lost Minds of whatever.
Yeah, Fandorin or Fandolin,
yeah,
or however the hell you say it.
Yeah. So it was cool because the first 3 sessions we never even touched a published campaign. It was all just like something went awry in the town where this mansion was missing employees, and the adventurers went in, met the daughter of the family, who hired them and sent them to find out what was going on when the parents left, and kind of like a Ghostbusters thing, like, hey, people are out, so go check this out. And then went and discovered stuff, and then fought stuff, and then eventually we had 2 more players that were like, yeah, health issues, this and that, the other. We're like, okay. So we had 1 player still remaining, and then we were able to pick up 3 more, and then it was just this whole weird transition of trying to move new players into an already established kind of campaign where I didn't want to kind of let go, because our 1 player that was staying, just spent all this time learning this character. And but anyway, you said you actually got time to watch a little bit and said you had some advice. So before you have to leave, whatever you have to share, man, I'm all ears.
Okay. Well, no, I
hit
mean,
me with
you know,
your best shot.
yeah. So as I tell my players every week in and out, I am not by no means God's gift of DMing or anything. I just like to have fun. You know, that's and honestly, that might be one of my biggest. I'll use a weird word. I'll say weaknesses when it comes to DMing is that you know, sometimes maybe instead of sticking to a rule, maybe I do a little bit more the fun version of the outcome. You know what I mean? Because you know, I don't know all the rules all in and out. I might know maybe 63%. I'll give myself better credit, 70%. But you still 30% is that stuff where it's like, I don't know, is it a wisdom save, crystal save? I don't freaking know, dude. Or you know, if someone's falling 30 feet but it's at an angle and there's the sun is on the west, do they take this much damage? I don't freaking know, dude. That's, you know what I mean? Which, by the way, apparently is some very Pathfinder-y kind of answers. Like, if you want to know specifics about how things happen, apparently that's very much Pathfinder, but which is cool. I've never looked into it. But I guess some of the biggest tips that I can give when it comes to DMing is one of the big things I like to do is I like to talk to the players individually a lot. Like we'll talk a little bit before the game just to kind of catch up. We'll talk a little bit after the game just to see like what they liked, what they didn't like. But yeah, I mean, maybe once every 2 months or so, maybe it's every month. You know, even if it's like, yeah, it might be every month, but even if it's like 10, 15 minutes just to kind of catch up and just be like, so, for the DM side of things, tell me things that you like that I'm doing and I don't like that I'm doing, right? And I'm like, you don't have to, you're not gonna hurt my feelings. I'm only gonna get better if you tell me things that you don't like. Because if you tell me that you don't like it and two other people say the same thing, well then obviously there's a connection there. Like, for instance, I was taking too long for combat, right? I didn't think I was. I was like, you know, I got 20 different bad guys I'm dealing with. Like, give me a second and I'll do all their things and then it's your turn. But apparently I wasn't going fast enough, which that's okay. So I tried to really think about what that meant and what I could do to make it go a little faster. So I started doing bad guys when I had big groups. I had them go in turns. So like if I had 20 bad guys, there was the blue group, the yellow group, the green group. And then instead of rolling 20 different initiatives, I had a green, blue, yellow initiative. And then all those guys went on that turn. Do you see what I'm saying? So it was like, it doesn't seem like a lot, but I really tried to, you know, take in what they said and implement it into the game. And then also in those conversations, really listen to like their character development, you know, like I think you're doing a great thing already here just with Tony, you know, he was talking about, do I go paladin? Do I go fighter? Like, you know, have that conversation and, you know, let Tony kind of figure it out and talk it out with him and be someone to kind of bounce the ideas off of, like a bouncy ball, you know, just kind of bouncing back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, really do something cool with that now. So if Tony's, you know, honkering into that paladin thing, you know, and really digging his heels into it, make sure that I would like reward that somewhere, you know, like really make a mental note of a way to really reward that somehow. For example, in my game recently, one of the characters talked to her older brother, learned that they were part of this ancient knighthood of fighters who protected a king, that kind of thing, right? And that was kind of something that we had talked about. So since that was something that she had an idea with, I made a note of like, okay, cool. And then later on, she had a vision about what all that meant. You know what I mean? So like, I always try to reward the cool stuff, I guess, you know?
Yeah.
And it all comes from having those conversations. You know, it doesn't have to be long. Sometimes they are, but that's okay. But, you know, you tell them, hey, man, I got 15 minutes this coming Tuesday. Are you doing anything? You want to talk about sticks for a little bit? And he's like, you know, sure. Okay. Yeah. And sometimes the typing happens, but for the most part, if you can get that face-to-face for a little bit, I know that goes a long way. The thing that you talked about earlier with Roll20 and having the maps, I definitely think that's helped out a lot. Switching over from, you know, 1 or 2 maps prepared out of 10 in my mind and just having like 9 or 10 ready to go at any given moment, just so that I don't know if you ever plan on DMing in the future, Tony, but if not, just put on earmuffs for this next part. But like it kind of gives. Oh, there you go. Okay, cool. You can put it back on. It's fine. It kind of gives the illusion that you're prepared, if you will, because as a DM, you're never prepared for what your players are going to do. All of a sudden, they're like, you know what? We're just going to go to the other side of the planet. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
We didn't talk about this, but I feel a little bit more comfortable having those maps prepared so that like if they do decide to fight the bartender for whatever fucking reason, which I never know, but maybe they do, maybe they get lippy or they had a bad day.
Yeah.
As soon as we transition into roll and initiative, having that map ready to go, I think it definitely makes the players feel a little bit more confident that I'm ready for whatever they have prepared to the best that I can. So I think it's just more or less they like appreciate that in terms of like, oh, okay. Any kind of curveball they try to throw at me, I'm prepared for it. And that's not a bad thing, just being, because in the beginning it was a lot of theater of the mind stuff. And I think that can get kind of dicey sometimes for the players, especially not for the DM, because in my mind, I'm, it's easy for my mind. It's my mind, but for them, they're not in my mind, and the big thing about D&D is that we get to play at a board so you can see distances and things. But when I say, no, you're actually 20 feet away, not 30 feet away. And they're like, wait, I thought I was only 10 feet away. And then, all it gets hodgy-podgy. So I definitely think having my Roll20 a little more organized has definitely helped out a lot too.
Yeah, it's something I've been avoiding for a long time because I hated using it.
Oh, me too, man.
I hated,
especially not knowing what to do. Like,
yeah, I hated.
Like I said, Nick definitely helped me out a lot.
Yeah, but it's probably something that'll eventually get transitioned in, just because it's like you said, and I've been going through with it as a DM now, even just for a few episodes in. It's a royal pain in the ass, especially like when you don't have, or like, we'll put it this way, and I'm not meaning it to be a dick, but when you have players that aren't paying attention and completely,
I have 6 of them.
Say like,
I understand people not
on one turn, like on one turn they're standing here, and then the next turn they're telling me, no, I was next. I'm like, no, you weren't. I'm like, prove it. You're right. Well, I mean, it's. Okay, well, look inside my brain. Look in here.
Yeah, that's hard.
And see there, because that's where you are. You're over here, not over here. But, yeah, it's eventually going to have to happen. What I was really, really, really hoping was that just seeing how much steam D&D Beyond is picked up and how far they've come along in the past 2 years. Like, I was really hoping to see them pick up some sort of map system. And
I can't imagine that they're not. I mean, they have sheets, they have dice that transverses into Roll20. I don't know if you knew that, but like so you can actually link. This is crazy. So you can link to prove your point that they probably are. D&D Beyond and Roll20 link now. So if you make a character sheet on D&D Beyond and you can actually roll, it'll roll over in Roll20 in the game that you're in.
Jeez.
Yeah, because I use a lot of times for like, it's awesome. So to prove your point, I couldn't see that they're probably not going there at some point, having their own map system.
I was just gonna say either they merge
it's the last part.
Yeah, they either buy them out or they do the same something similar.
Do the player books carry over as well?
Yeah, it's all in there, man. I mean, it's actually really nice too, because one of the big things that people gripe about Roll20 is that if I go into Roll20 and I try to put said feat onto my character sheet, I think there's only mobile. I think that's like literally the only feat that you can click drag over to your Roll20 character sheet. So unless you have that, then you're screwed. But yeah, if you make your character sheet on D&D Beyond, everything's in there, and then it transverses. So, and I think they're still working on D&D Beyond's character sheets. I don't think they have it all ironed out yet, but I mean, it's,
or in other cases when you're in a campaign that requires you to make 20 levels of your character.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah. What a freaking nightmare.
That's why I hated that so much. I was like, wait, I already don't like this. Now I got to do it 19 more times?
Yep. I just started clicking. Right around 13, I started clicking buttons.
Yeah, just
level up. But no, I mean, to prove your point, I don't think they're that far away from it. I definitely think that they need to iron everything out, because just as much as I said Roll20 only has 1 feat available after all this time that they've been there, because you could pull up a spell like Burning Hands, and
let's not speak of Burning Hands.
you could pull up Burning Hands, or you could pull up like any spell almost, and I say almost because I still don't have them all yet, but if you like click drag it into your character sheet, boom, it adds it in there, you're good to go. And same thing on D&D Beyond, but I know that they don't have everything yet, which I think is still kind of surprising given what else do they do all day besides get to work at a D&D company, which is fucking great.
Yeah.
Now get all my shit there that I won.
Right.
Sons of bitches. It's not that hard, but yeah, I mean that it is the hard thing, dude. I mean the Roll20 thing in terms of getting maps together, it's just I think it's also one of those things like more practice you do, the better. Like you gotta fuck around with it. Pardon my, I don't know what your thing is on your chat. Fart around with it a little bit. My bad.
No, it's cool because I was like,
well,
is he trying to say fart or?
There goes the earmuffs again. Yeah, I didn't know what the rules were on the chat. My bad.
No, you're fine.
You have to fart around with
rule,
it.
Rule number 1: there is no chat.
Fair. But yeah, like I said, Nick walked me through a lot. I don't know if you saw in the chat there. Now he's playing around with Foundry, which I hear, although you have to spend money on it, I hear is pretty great in terms of kind of the next level stuff. Like braziers are on fire and they actually move a little bit.
Like the visual effects and stuff.
That kind of next level shit.
Yeah.
Stuff. Next level stuff.
You're fine, dude. This is
okay.
It's
I didn't see a disclaimer. I don't know if there's. There it goes again. Sorry, Tony. God. There's children in the room.
The following will now be blurred out.
Okay.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. But I wanted to ask before I headed out here. So I know you said that you're kind of new to the D&D and you wanted to play for a long time, which is freaking awesome that you're getting into it, man. So enjoy the journey. Did you decide on what kind of I don't think you said what kind of paladin you were going to be, like vengeance or what kind of paladin were you shooting for?
That comes at level 5, right?
3.
3, yeah. Mm-hmm. You pick your oath at 3.
Yeah, level 3. You pick your path on just about any class.
Mm-hmm. For the most part, yeah.
That's my DM
like almost all of them, yeah. Almost all of them, yeah.
So,
you're right.
So I think when I was reading into them, I think.
No, you're both looking up. That was great. You went, I think, and then Kyle's like, "What's he looking at? What's up there?"
I was doing my mental thing that I was doing before, but I looked up.
Let's all just take the time.
So I think I read through them, but I'm not sure. I think that'll just kind of be a game time decision. I'll base that on,
that's cool.
I think I'm just gonna base that on my character's personality,
which is cocky as shit.
Well, how do you figure? What do you mean?
Oh, your guy is like.
Oh yeah.
Super cocky.
Oh my gosh. So that's one thing that I'm gonna try and work on is every fight, trying not to just pick somebody up and shake them and talk to them.
Yeah, you do that.
Okay.
We've been in 2 fights and they're against goblins and
it's hard not to pick
you've been in 2 fights.
I picked up a goblin and I've just kind of shook him and interrogated him while everybody else is fighting.
Yeah,
I like it.
Arrows are flying, bloodshed, and he's just going, "Tell me,
how do we get out of here?
Who is your daddy and what does he do?"
Right.
I'm the body pooper.
Love it. No, and I mean, hey, I think that's really cool. Like, not having a plan, in terms of the book, if that makes sense. Like, you don't. I think that's kind of cool, actually. Like, you don't have to have a plan. Like, letting it kind of come to you naturally is interesting.
That's the key word, is naturally. And I wanted it to just kind of
I want to say something. I just want to say, choosing not to choose is a choice.
That's right. That's right. And your god will notice that. But do you have a
pooping face?
Do you have a god as your paladin?
Melora.
Ooh. Okay.
So my paladin was his family created this faction called the Wardens, that
Should I take this off?
You've read my background.
Yeah, but that was for you. That was your background. I had to clear you for the show for Twitch, so didn't get hit for
the
Slippery Steve letting those pedos on again.
His family created this faction called the Wardens, which facilitated peace between those like wood dwelling beings and people in the city. And so he kind of grew up in the woods, and as like his family worships L.O.R.E, so he kind of grew up in that.
Okay. Well, I already have my pick of what kind of paladin you will be then, but I will not say anything until it happens, because I don't want to be like a Jiminy Cricket and make you go that way. I'd rather look afterwards and say, "Ah, called it," or okay, I like it.
Or dumbass.
Why did
this doesn't make any sense?
Go all like that 70s show, red on red. Like red from that 70s, yeah, just dumbass.
I would never. Whatever the player picks, you just kind of roll with it.
Literally.
That's right.
That's what we do.
I think I can go out on a limb and say it's probably not going to be conquest, though. I mean, unless you're subjugating everyone to your will, which that's just interesting.
Just all of a sudden.
Love the forest, motherfucker. Smite. So I'll go on a limb and say it's probably not that one, but I have an idea in my head of who you might go with if I had to guess. But we shall see.
If it breathes, we can kill it.
If it breathes, I could die.
Yeah.
If it breathes, I can smite it.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Put it on a shirt. Put it on a shirt.
Yep. I want that shirt.
Yeah. But no, I saw episode 4 and I saw parts of episode 5, so I'll keep on chiming in and watching. Yeah, I look forward to seeing where this all goes from here. You guys seem like you got a good group.
And I want to say for those watching on YouTube, because we'll put this up tomorrow morning. We'll put your link in there too to your YouTube channel, so
sweet.
that people that hear about this and want to check out some crazy fucking awesome steampunk
Appreciated.
D&D, then they'll be able to click that link and give you a follow. And
yeah, that's awesome. I would appreciate that. I like that. Yeah, man. Well, like I said, I have to.
You got some extra time in today.
No, you're good. You're good. I was gonna say I will have to keep chiming into lore to see where Tony's character goes. I need to see what path he picks, just so I can. Nailed it.
Yeah, knew it.
But thank you guys. Thank you for having me. I am. I will bid you adieu.
Let me jump to a break and then we'll.
Sure. That'll do.
We'll go out that way. So yeah.
Click a button.
Okay, now we're back. Hey, thanks for watching, everybody. All you thousands of viewers. Sarcastic. So yeah, we were just talking about the paladin class and whatnot. So you're on the fence between staying a paladin and choosing your path that would make sense for you, or possibly switching to fighter?
So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just stick to my guns, because I built this character and I built this backstory around being a paladin. So I think I'm gonna stick to being a paladin. But I know at level 3 our classes come into is it class? What's the name for it?
Well, each class kind of has a different name for it, but it's
like the subclass.
It's yeah, sort of.
What is that?
Yeah, it's your path.
Anyways,
it's like the path you choose from your class. That's just what I say for general purposes.
So I'm not actually gonna do any like research ahead of time. I'm gonna look at the options whenever it comes time for me to pick and
Just
make a decision based on how my character's personality is. So, trying to min max just to keep the progression natural.
yeah. Hey, that makes sense, dude. Now, unfortunately, Kyle having to leave and all, but still, I can kind of step in as a DM and say, absolutely, like, do what you feel is best for you.
Right.
I know one of my favorite things in the whole wide world is just character creating, and especially like for one shots. One shots has always been kind of my favorite thing because, granted, you're only going to get a few hours to play the character, and that your backstory is probably never going to even get touched on whatsoever, other than just using that backstory to better, like, more fuel for the fire is when you go into role playing the character is really
Right.
all it ever gives you for one shots. But I love creating characters for one shots for the simple fact that typically 9 times out of 10 you're going to run into a DM that's running it and say, you're going to want to be at least a level 3 or higher or something like that. So you already get to choose those paths, and that's one of my favorite things is like how you were saying, you're not going to do any research. You're just going to, when the time comes, just look at your options and pick what makes the most sense for your story. And that's what I do. Like, I have one favorite character that's I always go back to just like explaining in situations when D&D stories come up, and it's Mobad, this full orc barbarian, and he chose the path of the protectors, and it just lays into his story about how, like, his name's Mobad the Merciful, and it sounds like merciful if you say it fast enough, but he's the Mercy Fool, and it was because like he had issues killing people on the battlefield. He would rather win the battle, and if the enemy's still alive, let them bugger off, And he was always kind of like the protector of the group, so he was the big meat, big, huge, burly meat shield, and always has a big, huge, heart, like big teddy bear kind of guy. So making him all of the choices that D&D gives you, I made in constant thought of what would make this a weird barbarian. Like, what would make him stand out amongst the rest? Why would they call him the Merciful? Like, and it's just, anytime I've ever gotten to play him in games, like, he's always been like a favorite among the group, because everybody's like, I did not see you playing a big, huge barbarian in such a weird way like that before, and it was great. So he had this one game. He had this little doll, this magical, that you could actually get in D&D. You can buy it right on D&D Beyond out of one of the books. It's a magical talking doll, and so I made it like one of those kinds, like the old school pull the string from like the 80s and 90s, but just this really morbid looking, like porcelain face, blank stare look, and everything sewn together from other bits and pieces, like a misfit toy or something.
Yeah.
And like every time you'd pull the string, I actually went back and before we played, I went into my studio and recorded, because you can make it say up to 5 or 6 things, and I went and
recorded all
of them and altered the voice.
That's cool.
And then saved it on my phone. So like whenever he would pull the doll, it would like say, I would roll the dice, a d6, and 1 through 6 would be a different thing, and then poop. But anyway, I'm rambling on. Let's
You're
ask.
good, dude. I'm all over it.
Let's get to some of the questions. Did you get my message about writing down some questions and having?
Yes.
Cool. Well, why don't you fire one of those off, and then I'll return fire.
So I wrote one D&D related question and a couple of just kind of getting to know you questions.
Getting
just
to
because,
know you.
right. Just because, we've only known each other for a few weeks.
Yeah. Right.
Take this opportunity to, get to know my DM a little bit better.
Tony.
So the first one is, what is your favorite class as a player?
Okay, that's an easy one. It definitely would have to be the bard, and that's because bard and the feature jack of all trades that it gets. I love that because me personally in my life, I relate because I've been a musician since I was 5 years old. So the bard thing just is true to me, and then you pick different things and stuff like that, and then you can really kind of live out your own life through them vicariously, on paper and pen.
Right.
But it would definitely have to be the bard. Mainly because I'm a sucker for bad puns, and cutting words.
I'll have to remember that.
Yeah, vicious mockery.
Farm some inspiration.
Yep. Yeah, and Tasha's hideous laughter and all that kind of stuff. All the spells that bards can do, is just that perfect opportunity to just kind of pour a little bit of me into the characters whenever I've played a bard. And I've played at least 3 or 4 in between campaigns and one shots, so it's my go-to class, and I've tried to stay away from it as much as possible now because I've barely tried hardly any classes. I think I've played a rogue once, maybe a ranger, I think a paladin, a bard, a barbarian, and that's all I've ever. The bard and barbarian are the only 2 that I've actually had a little bit of time with. The rest that I listed off have just been one-shots or made a character for a campaign and then the campaign fell apart or something. So.
And I think the bard as well is the class that forces you to be the most creative.
Definitely that, or 2 others would. Well, actually, I would say definitely the most creative for sure. Wizards also give you a great opportunity with, if you're into that whole describing how you're spell casting. Mm-hmm. Perfect example is Liam O'Brien on Critical Role in the second campaign, in their second campaign, or as some people call it, season. He keeps track of all his spell casting things that he needs, because if you play by the book, you're supposed to keep track of for the spellcasters, if they have things that they have to use and burn up to cast
materials
spells,
and stuff,
right, and supplies. You have to mark that shit off, and that's the whole point of D&D shopping in games, is for spellcasters and stuff to get resupply, and that's another big creative avenue there. But also just in general, beast shape or polymorph, the spells in general, just for any class that has access to them, opens up a huge creative avenue for people to just be whatever the shape into whatever the hell they want within the rule book. But
well, it's really whatever your DM will let you get away with.
Yeah, That too.
Right. I mean, because every campaign at some point, or like, I guess it's per action, right? If you're playing a just take an example from not another D&D podcast, their their DM had 3 flying horses that were chasing their flying ship, and their Crick Elf wizard polymorphed the lead horse into a dolphin.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was it for the whole fight. But I think it's one of those things where the D&D looks at it and he goes, do I want to be a dick or do we want to have fun?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can. I mean, as a critter nerd, like my mind instantly goes to one of the most recent fights where they used polymorph really well. Was this big, huge? I can't think of the name of it, but like kind of like Dune, those big sandworms. Kind of like one of those things comes up and just catches them by complete surprise on this frozen lake, and the name of the creature is on the tip of my tongue, but anyway, it's irrelevant. They polymorph it into one thing, and that didn't work out for them so well because it could still attack them. And if it gets hit, it reverts back to its form, like a certain amount of hit points.
Right.
Reverts back to its form. So they polymorphed it again into just a regular old turtle on ice, and then they went up to it, and on her turn, Ashley Johnson flipped it on its back so its feet were up and it couldn't do anything, and then they just spun it around and pushed it on the ice away from them, and then they ran. And it was brilliant because it lasts for like an hour, I think, so they had plenty of time to get away. So, yeah, polymorph is one of my favorites.
It's definitely a get out of jail free card if you use it right.
Yeah, it's kind of like the equivalent to Burning Hands at level 1 and 2 with Justin. Because
right,
if I had thought about that and remembered that he still had 1 spell slot left, I wouldn't have had all 3 goblins walk into from a tiny hall and just stand there.
Standing.
Like, hey, hi guys. He's like,
right.
Yeah, yep, okay. Woof.
Yeah, I'm gonna line this up just right.
What about you? To answer your own question, what if you hadn't have chose Paladin, what would your second choice be? Or to piggyback on that, what's your favorite class to watch others play or listen to others play on podcasts or whatnot?
So, I think Wizard, just because of all of the, not just with polymorph, but just with all of the crazy garbage that you can do, and just the different ways that you can use your spells. Like if you have a lightning spell, you don't just have to use it to harm people. You can use it to like fry machinery or electrify a water surface. And like if you have, so Burning Hands, if you have a water surface, you can burn the water and create steam,
Yeah.
But just all the just the sheer versatility of what you can do as a wizard.
Yeah, the pocket knife of spellbooks.
Yes, absolutely.
Spellcasters.
And I think that's the I think all of that is kind of how versatile they are depends on how creative the player is too.
Yeah,
because you can have people that are just like, I'm gonna be a spellcaster just because I can do different kinds of damage.
Yeah, I told Justin, like, I said you should definitely, if you can't listen to whatever Tony's listening to, you should watch Critical Role, the second season where Liam plays a wizard, because
Mm-hmm.
he's real creative with that stuff too. And yeah, I'm like I said, well, I was trying to say it right, and I fucked it up, but wizards are definitely the Swiss Army knife of the spellcasters.
Right.
So I had a question for you, and I asked this a lot to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
What was it that got you into D&D initially?
So, I stumbled upon the podcast My Brother and Me, made by the McElroy brothers, and then realized that they had done a D&D podcast. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I'll give it a listen. And they just, like, they had never done a podcast like that, so the production value just went up and up and up the further that they did, and it just seemed like, I don't know, like I play a lot of video games, but D&D seems like a totally different way to just throw yourself into a different world.
Oh yeah.
And I like that about it.
Yeah,
Because you can do anything the DM lets you do.
Yeah.
And you can be as creative as you want. You're not limited by the, like, if you're talking about video games, you're not limited by the game engine or, you know, the mechanics. You just, hey, I want to do this as my action. And the DM goes, I fucking guess.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do it physically, so go for it, you know?
Yeah, or, you know, if you run to the right so far, you don't run into an invisible wall where you're like,
right, exactly.
I should still be moving. But
yeah. And there's all of the cards are on the table with D&D.
Mm-hmm.
You can do literally anything you want.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's one of the most appealing things in the world is, as a musician, being in a band forever, just stage playing and just living the rock star life, like that was my creative outlet, and that was where I dove into like a different personality, because I'm not like real extroverted, you know.
Right.
So, but then I can be a total hermit, and then go have then when I still was drinking, like go have a few beers with my buddies in the band, and then rock out like total rock stars in front of like 100 to 1,000 people in a night, and not think twice about it. Just look over the crowd and just be pointing at them like, ah, you know, like, whoa, you guys are rocking out, like doing all that stuff, and like to these people, you're like this god, you know what I mean? And like to experience that and then have it all taken away, like I had to find something that could get close to it. And in all honesty, like D&D was it for me, because it allows that same mental escape where you once that light goes on and your DM says go, like you're in character now, that's what happens. Like for the most part, I'm just like in character, and if they're a good DM, like they're describing the atmosphere and everything around you to the point where your brain just kind of goes like you're there, and like everything else is just black, and you're just like, okay, all right, yeah. And then next thing you know, you're doing an accent or you're just a voice, and then you're saying shit and doing shit you would never do in real life.
You become this whole other person.
Yeah. It's like virtual reality without all the expensive gear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see. Okay, so you go.
So I didn't know that you were a music man, that you had traveled around a lot, I assume. What's your favorite place that you visited?
Okay. I'll answer it in a two-parter. Like,
Okay.
my favorite place as in a band that I was in was always the Chameleon Club in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
I keep forgetting that you're in Texas. I just assume because you know Justin, like you're here in PA, but
I've been to Lancaster.
okay. So yeah, the club just shut down recently, the end of last year, but dude, like I opened up and hung out and partied with Taproot, All That Remains, Non-Point, Evans Blue, so many bands that I've met there, and met the lead singers, the guitar players, and just did shots and drank beers with and partied with, like after the shows and stuff. Like, that was definitely my favorite place. But if I were to say best place I ever traveled as a musician would be Ireland, because my father, I don't know if he's still planning on going back, but at the time, this was 2009, he would go every summer for like a month and tour over there, play folk and bluegrass music. And one year I was like, I really want to go, and he's like, you learn some songs of mine and I'll take you for your birthday. I'm like, yeah, you're on. So if I wasn't playing that night with him, then he would give me just loads of money to go out and bar crawl, and then just bring people to the show like as they started, and like, so it was like a different town almost every night. The longest we stayed in one place was like 3 nights, so we toured the whole island in a month, and I probably got 2 illegitimate kids on both ends of the island, just saying. Hi kids if you're watching. But yeah, that was the greatest experience ever. What let's see here. What about you? What's your favorite place that you've ever been to? Getting to know you?
Yeah, right. For our...
And don't say Pennsylvania, because I know that's bullshit.
So, listen. I had a lot of fun in Lancaster.
Oh, okay.
But it's not my favorite.
Yeah, okay, good.
For my high school senior trip, and this is one of those, like, the school sends you with teachers and stuff, but your family still has to pay for it. We went to Costa Rica, and it was beautiful.
Jesus, Costa Rica!
Oh my gosh.
Wow,
just so, like, just relaxing, just chilling out. We did whitewater rafting. We went on like mountainside zip lining, and all of the platforms were on the tops of these super tall trees, and so we were zip lining down a mountain from tree to tree.
wow.
It was like you could see out into the valley and see like shepherds with their sheep and stuff like that. And we went to this small group of islands on a catamaran cruise, and one of the people that worked on the island, this is like a whole like touristy thing. One of the people that worked on the island had a pet javelina, which was wild. But it ran up to us and like laid on its side, and we scratched its belly and stuff, and it was all excited. It was so weird.
That's cool.
But that place is super cool.
That sounds legit, man. Let me see. Oh, okay. So I have another question for you. Okay, it's not more. It's a. What are you willing to share on stream right now about Eradawin that nobody knows yet? Something you don't. And look, I'm not trying to get you to spill stuff you don't want to. But if there's anything that maybe you feel like your fellow players may not be understanding about your character, that you feel like this would be a good opportunity to explain why he's like that or something like that.
So his arrogance and his pride comes from insecurity.
Okay. All right, that works.
He, I think that's all I'm willing to say right now.
No, it's cool.
Without getting, because I was thinking about it and I was like, I don't know if I want to go there yet. Because even in the keeping watch sequence that we did last episode, Amra was like, hey, what's your deal? What are you about?
Yeah, that was kudos
like,
to her for that one, by the way. That was I was really, really proud of that moment, stirring that up.
Yeah, I was just kind of like, because she was like, what's your quest?
Yeah.
And I was like, I kind of leaned into the warden thing a little bit, just kind of explained that, and then I was just kind of like, I'm the last one of my family because of just some past trauma.
Yeah.
Some past trauma that happened.
Yeah. We call it COVID-1.
Right. Yeah, and just kind of left it at that.
That was good, man. It was a good roleplay opportunity for the both of you. I liked it.
Yeah, but I feel like a lot of people have these like cliches in their head of what their backstory should be, right? And
of course,
so,
yeah.
So
mom and dad were murdered. I'm here to avenge
and so Amra was kind of like, because she was like, why'd you come on this job? And I was like, I don't know, money. And she was like, oh, well, are you trying to restore your family's wealth? And I was like, no, I'm just trying to eat right now. I'm trying to get to a point where I can plan out my next steps.
Yeah. And she asked some good questions though, and that was that was a great opportunity for the both of you.
Absolutely.
I thought God damn it with the names, Halimir and Adrian, their little watch scene was pretty legit too. Like, spilling the beans on some backstory.
Oh my gosh, when she said dragon chest, I was like, I never thought that would come up, but I have dragon chest right now, and I'm upset that I'm asleep.
That's awesome. Well, maybe that's something that she might spill, or he might spill the beans on later. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go for it.
So you said the names, and it's a lot. We have.
They're all tongue twisters, except for Adrian.
But it's the whole name too.
The whole name is long, but I love it.
My name is just
Eddington.
Long. It's not really a tongue twister. It's just like long. You know what I mean?
The first name, yeah.
Right. And so because of that, I've been kind of playing with the idea of, because everybody we meet, I ask their name and then ask my name.
Yeah.
And then they're just kind of
like, what's your name? They're like, Bob.
E.
Yeah.
Right.
You're like, God damn it! And then what's your name? Aredowin.
I was gonna make you come up with a name for everybody.
What kind of cruel parents do you have?
And so I was one of the traits that Aradwin has is that he doesn't get close to very many people, but the ones that, or he doesn't trust very many people, but the ones that he does, he's very close to. And so I think I was gonna try and come up with a nickname to kind of give, so that the party can call me, and call me this instead of Aradwin Greenfold. Yeah. Because it's a lot.
Well, I mean, they can always call you like Green Bean.
Yeah.
G. What up, G?
Dickhead.
Yeah. Yeah, what's up, asshole? I don't know. Nicknames are always fun to explore. The one thing I find is always is fun is leave it to the bard, because the bard will always come up with a nickname for everybody.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that because I know Roxanne well enough, because I don't, but I'm just saying, seeing the way she plays and knowing she plays a bard really well, so just off the bat so far, like, she'll probably end up declaring nicknames for everybody at some point, because it does. I still can't Halamir and Aradowin, because I keep wanting to say Radomir and Halloween. Like that's that's what my brain keeps doing. Like it switches them around. So I get halfway into your names, I'm like, crap. But those two, and obviously
Jack Smith.
Yeah, yeah, right. My name is Joe. Or no, Jeff. My name is Jeff. My name is Jeff. Hefe. What's up, Hefe? Come here, Hefe.
I actually think my next one is going to be Jim, short for Jimothy.
Have you picked up on Amra's name? Why it is the way it is?
No.
I'm not spilling the beans on that one.
Okay.
There's a reason.
Next watch, I'll ask her about it.
There's a reason it is the way it is. But there's also a nonsense reason, which is my reason only, is why everybody calls her Amra, is just because I can't say Amrik Dob, 30 times in a session. Like, it's just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
But the little twist, the spin to why the name is the way it is pretty dope. I like it. So, anywho, you got any other questions?
So I've noticed that you have tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
Tattoos.
Tattoo. Tattoo.
How many do you have, and do you have a favorite?
I think last I checked, it was 8, maybe 9. They all kind of look like jail tattoos, to be honest with you. And back when I used to bar hop a lot, I would just, if I didn't know the person or didn't care to know them, and they were asking, like, if they saw, like, hey, what's the tattoo mean? I'm like, I just got it in jail. I don't know. Like, I just tell them that.
Ladders are bad luck, man. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. I mean, I've never gotten one in jail. I've been in jail before, but that's a whole other stream. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 8. My favorite would have to be the one across my chest, though, because it's a quote from church. It was like a plaque thingy in the church, this church in Ireland that we were at, and it was one of the shows that I didn't play because I was too nervous to play in a church for some reason. I guess because I had been not so church worthy when I was over in Ireland, so yeah. I was like, maybe I shouldn't play because something weird will happen to me, like a string will break and strangle me and kill me, and
oh my gosh,
I don't know, whatever, like some weird fucking, I don't know. Anyway, but there was a quote on one of the plaque thingies on the wall, and it said, I don't even remember what this says anymore, but it's like, my strength is made perfect through my weakness, or something like that. It's been forever since I've been able to actually, and then you look in a mirror and it's backwards. Yeah, so let me selfie real quick and read this shit.
Right.
But yeah, so it's a quote from there that was very inspirational at the moment, and
that's cool.
I actually got it for free because the girl I was dating at the time was super generous and was just like, you're a rock star, let's get you a tattoo. I'm like, okay. I'm not gonna say no. Sure. Great, now I'm saying this and it's documented on YouTube. Yeah,
but it's up forever.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, if you had to choose one of your current traveling companions, to I'm not gonna do the marry F kill thing, because that would just be weird. But if you had to choose one person that you would trust the most, who would you? Not you as a player, but who would Aradowin trust the most? Let's put it this way: Who would Aradowin trust the most at this point if it was given a gunpoint situation?
I think gunpoint, it would be Halamir. But he's like just a smidge above everybody else, which they're all dumb. They're all at nothing.
Right.
Because at this point, he's only known these people for
a day,
2 days.
Yeah.
Right. And they've been traveling together, so they know each other a little bit better and stuff like that. And that's one of the reasons why
they all know each other the same.
A little bit better.
You literally came in maybe in a few hours, if that, because I think we walked you in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think we walked you in the same day that he met the other two. So literally, you all met the same exact time. You were just the last, because the time and everything with the game, how everything landed. It was the only way to walk you in, so we had you meet up in the bar. So literally, they've only known each other for.
Okay.
But you wouldn't know this in character. Your character may think that they've known each other for a while.
Right. Radowin just assumes that they've known each other for a little bit longer, and just because of his past experiences and his current circumstances is more guarded anyways. It takes him a while to trust someone enough to let them in.
Yeah.
And he just hasn't hit that point with anybody in the party yet.
I mean, who can blame you? You're 2, maybe 3 sessions in, two sessions in, legit sessions.
Right.
Yeah. The one thing I've never been a fan of, and I see it way too often, but it's kind of forced too, because the way DMs are, and really like campaigns, kind of like just write you in your companions in with each other, like, you're all talking at a bar and you're all like, I like adventure, me too, let's go on adventure together, stranger. Right. Okay, I trust you with my life, and then it's boom, you're off rescuing each other and picking up each other when they go down, and it's like, in real life, if I knew somebody for a day and I was just so happened to be going the same direction as them with the same focus, and they dropped dead, I might just keep going.
Well, I think at that point it's one of those you're more useful to me alive than dead situations.
Right, it's a strategy.
Like
thing.
I could just let you die.
Yeah.
Because I don't really know you. I don't care. But we're still in a fight, and you can swing a sword, I guess. So.
Yeah. And you were swinging in the opposite direction of me, so that's good.
Right.
That's a start.
Exactly. The enemy of my enemy.
But I swear, if I pick you up and you go back down again, we're done.
Yeah.
Because I'm out of spells. I'm a paladin. I just gave you all my hit pool.
Death saves.
Yeah, like, oh man, that's the thing I love about D&D though, is like, there's some of it is just common law, like law of the role play, like of knowing and trusting the gang that you're with, and just kind of being forced into this friendship. That's what I thought was funny about the last session, was when you were like, I don't know these guys. I'm friends with Nosy as of right now. I'll do whatever I can for you if you let me out.
And then Adrian got like offended, and I was like, dude, I've known you for like an hour.
Yeah.
Don't get so upset.
Yeah. No, I loved it though, because I like everybody's role playing so far, the way where I mean, there's definitely some players that are new to this whole thing that don't listen to D&D outside of their own personal experience or whatever, so they're not getting to see and emulate it, and then really know. So the expectations are just everywhere, like who knows where.
Right.
But
or they don't have any.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so that too. And that's what I'm really hoping to see build and grow as the game goes. And that's like my main thing is like I'm trying to get people to feel more compelled to like not necessarily for like you have to roleplay your character, but just feel more comfortable in their character's skin and be able to just kind of naturally know what to do when the spotlight goes, boom, okay, what are you doing?
Right.
Rather than, hey, what are you doing? I don't know. Okay, well, this is what you're doing, okay?
Right.
Okay.
They're like, oh,
so roll,
no,
yeah.
think about it.
So roll for it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's your job as a player, too. Like, not to sound like a dick, but, like, you know, if you're diddling on your phone or something like that, and I'm not saying anybody in our party, I'm just saying in general, like, I've seen it happen enough times where if you're not paying attention and you're not listening, then you don't need to be there, man, like, because you're gonna miss shit, and the good players are the ones that are listening and watching, and then when the DM looks at you, you're already five sheets into your story of what you've been doing. Like,
right.
Oh, what have I been doing? I'll tell you what I've been doing. And that's, yeah, like, I know, and I, like, you and Roxanne have had really no problem with that whatsoever, which I find is really interesting because you're complete opposites, which is really interesting to watch unfold too, is where, like, our Adrian is very outspoken and a bard and very social and very extroverted and super friendly, and just everybody's his friend, and
Right.
And then you're like closed off and cocky, and that inner conflict between the two of you when you both get role playing is I love that. And I see it from our other players too. Like they're trying, and they definitely have a lot of what do you call them, like shining moments where like their players really get something in really good, and it's just like yeah.
Especially as a DM, with a bunch of new or haven't played in a while players, you're just like, yes, this is what I wanted. Everything's coming together, And it actually surprised me how easily I could just fall into that role. Because like my first episode, or the first episode that we did, I was like trying out a bunch of different accents.
Well, the one with Tony the little off one shot thing that we did.
Yeah.
And
so I was trying out a bunch of different accents, but none of them they all felt like campy or fake, or they just like didn't work. And then I was like, why don't I just do like just a slightly deeper voice than my regular talking?
Yeah.
And then once I started doing that, I was like, ooh, I kind of like that. I'm kind of into it,
Yeah.
And then everything just kind of fell from there.
Yeah, it's pretty wild how the weirdest things, the most unexpected things are what trigger like that inner character inside of you, that are just all of a sudden you hear that tone and you're like, oh, that's him. And then all of a sudden you start talking like him.
I think having a character voice is really important for that reason.
Yeah, I would agree.
It just makes it a lot easier to step out of your own shoes and into your character's shoes.
Yeah, like every character I've ever played, no matter if it's been streamed or not, I've always given them like a solid, distinct voice or accent, Like I had a halfling cleric who was very I'll talk like this a lot. So piss off, all right? And and like he wasn't a very nice.
Cockney.
Yeah, very cockney. He didn't and rude. Like wasn't super friendly. Like tried to be, but just I don't know. It wasn't really going along the lines of his alignment very well. Because it was my first character that I was playing in a campaign, but
Yeah.
then I had another halfling bard who was a little more soft spoken, a little more poetic in his ways of speaking, and then I had Drog, like Grog, or something like that, like this dragonborn paladin, and then Mobad was always my favorite because Mobad just talk like this all the time. If
Like
Mobad makes a mistake, Mobad says Mobad.
An old Western man with some marbles in his mouth. I like it.
Yeah. A little bit of Sam Elliott.
Yeah.
The dude abides. But yeah, I like you were saying, man. There's so many things that trigger what really takes to play, like what really gets you into your character. But I definitely agree 100%. Finding a solid voice that fits your character and you feel comfortable with is probably one of my top 2 like go-tos as to what gets me in my character. Like it's always a voice and building their backstory. Especially with those like the traits that you get to pick and stuff. Even just using those to build off of, and then being like, well, if he's this way and this way, then wouldn't he be this? And then once you got all 5 of them or 4
they kind
of them,
inform each other.
Yeah, they do. And then you're like, then you start asking yourself, well, why is he this way? And then you start backstory writing there. And then why is he this way? Backstory writing there. And then next thing you know, you have this like story that you didn't even realize you just wrote yourself, and it's like, that's not bad. I could be
pretty good.
Yeah, I could be that guy.
So that's one of the reasons why I chose the Awesome Art race, is because I think at birth they're imbued with a soul. Okay. And so I found that just a really interesting concept to build a backstory out of. And at first I was going to kind of do this thing where Radwin and his soul are like 2 opposing forces.
Oh.
Like
they're
two, it's almost like a split personality. Yeah. But I decided to scrap that and just use just kind of lean into the faith part of being imbued with the celestial.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you as a player, and as your DM, I will say it's never too late to add some of that flavor into it. Like if maybe later on down the road you're like, you know what? Maybe he just hides it really well, like one of his other side, Like that's another thing that I love doing, is like not only creating characters for myself, but like when just hearing like your ideas and other people just in general, like even if I'm not playing with them, like just like tell me your ideas, like what can I bounce off to you, like what would I do in your situation? And like I love that, like because I always end up getting jealous of other people's characters, because I'm like, damn, that's brilliant, like why didn't I think of that?
And I was thinking about that idea that I had, like as I was explaining it just now, I was thinking about it, and one way that I could bring that in is to pick a totally different class or totally different subclass from a Radwin's personality right now, and whenever he uses the abilities from that subclass, whether it be like a like a vengeful paladin or whatever, that can kind of come out.
That would be hard to do on
So
your
it's
keep
like,
track of on your sheet though.
it would.
Because
It would.
when you multi-class, you have to take a different class in order for it to keep
Right.
track of. So yeah.
Well, I'm saying like when he hits level 3 and chooses his path, like
Right.
that path could be. But at first, what I was thinking is whenever he uses a paladin ability, that could come out. That would be because that's just spells, you know. If he's not swinging his Morning Star, then
I get it.
The spell.
So like his faithful side is tuned into like what brings out the paladin spells and abilities,
right.
But
exactly
his fighter side of just melee combat is the other half of him.
Right. And I was thinking it might be kind of like a Hulk situation.
Players don't watch this.
Right, yeah. Where he doesn't use his paladin abilities unless he absolutely has to. And so, like, getting in a situation where it's like, God, I gotta... Oh, Alamir's down again. I gotta heal him. I gotta bring him up. All right, buddy, take over. And just kind of having it play out that way.
What would be great is if your paladin was like this super flamboyant, like fluffy bear kind of guy, like total opposite of Araduin, like being, you know, dark and not trusting. Just kind of like,
yeah.
Oh, hey! Looks like somebody needs some loving. Touch some hands. Jazz hands. Yay! Feel the love. Like, I don't know. Something crazy
Jazz
like
hands.
That would be... I'm not suggesting it. All what I'm saying is that would be so fucking hilarious.
So,
to see this,
it would... I'm also kind of thinking ahead of, like, if we do start getting, like... We're always going to goof, right?
Of course.
We're always going to, you know. But if we start getting, like, into more serious times, I don't want his eyes to start glowing gold. And he's like, well, you know, whenever I cast a spell, it really just makes my heart sing. I'm not... being serious in like...
True, yeah, I get it.
Supposed to be a joke, you know, would be just... super difficult to pull off for myself,
Some
but also difficult
play,
to
Yeah, I get it.
Difficult to make believable.
No, but yeah, going the whole extreme like that would be hard on the long haul.
Exactly.
In the end game situation, I get that. But how hilarious would it be though if like a Araduin fighter is straight and a Araduin paladin is gay as hell, and like
I like that.
Sometimes when you get drunk, like paladin Araduin slips into the night, and then like, but you know, fighter Araduin looks like it's already happening. A paladin Araduin, fighter Araduin like wakes up in the morning. Like Coyote Ugly and like this big orc dude or something, and you're like, oh no, what did you do? Like,
I drank too much again.
Maybe not dive.
And here we are.
Maybe not dive too hard into like a a super like funny, ridiculous, goofy voice or something. But man, would that be some fun role playing to just
to have a different personality.
Yeah, like I played the last game I played on here actually we streamed was we were using a different mechanic called basic roleplay Chaosium, and it's a completely different dice system, way easier than D&D, and the rules are a whole lot more just on the fly. The book's half as big. And we were doing a sci-fi in space thing, but then we were all kind of getting the shits of missing D&D, all of us as D&D players, and also not getting shit for views because we were having to list the thing under something else because it wasn't D&D, and we were barely getting any viewers, and the viewers would hardly stay because they're like, oh, I thought this was D&D. And so we finally switched over to 5e, and just it was an easy conversion because all of our classes were easy to just kind of convert. Anyway, my point is I played a very flamboyant bisexual bard, and his name is Oscar Pierre Pelletier, and he was good with the ladies in the band. So he was a handsome young man. He had a mustache there, yeah. And he was addicted to gambling, cocaine, booze, and sex. And that was such a fun character to play. Lo and behold, it was annoying my DM, and he never told me until one day he decided to have this big shit fit with me, and I don't know. Yeah, but
I'm sorry.
yeah, like everybody else, it was fine with, and he didn't ever let me know or even visually like even show like any kind of. But I guess because I don't know, but it was super fun to play because like just me being straight and, you know, supportive of all these movements going on these days. Like, I wanted to show my support somehow by playing one, and yeah, super fun.
So that's one thing that I've thought about before is like in a universe where interstellar travel exists, right? You're meeting aliens from all over that look all different kinds of shapes, sizes, whatever.
Yeah.
Being straight would be so fucking boring.
Right?
Are you kidding me?
Right? Yeah,
like, you're not gonna get down with Tentacle Dude? Why not?
Yeah, that was one of Oscar's things. Because like he went to a brothel and picked the weirdest looking thing he could find that was a dude, and they went and romped sheets.
Right.
Like, you know, we didn't like role play it, thank God, but but it was his point too, and we actually had a chat about that one time as a group. It was just like saying exactly what you said is like, you're in a galaxy, because we jumped to D&D 5e / Spelljammer, which made sense for our transition being in space. It was the closest thing we could get. So that was everybody's thing. It was like, yeah, who can blame Oscar for going and sleeping around with anything that he finds? Because who wants to be straight and sleep with their own race? Like when you have hundreds of other races out here.
An infinite amount.
Yeah, and you're running into them on a daily. It was like me in Ireland. I'm like, why do I want to hook up with an American? What do you think's so cool about Americans? You guys are awesome. But yeah. Well, it's 10:30, man. I think it's a good spot to cut it while we're barely scraping by on D&D topics now. Oh shit, my fidget spinner. So yeah, if you guys are watching on YouTube, which will be the only place I'm assuming anybody's gonna watch at this point, don't forget to tune in next week. We're gonna be back Thursdays, and hopefully we can stick to a weekly Thursday schedule. Fingers crossed, you know. We'll see how it works, but
whatever happens.
Yeah, exactly. But we're shooting for it, so tune in Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. Right here at twitch.tv/slipperysteve. Well, actually, right, you're watching on YouTube, so twitch.tv/slipperysteve. Go there, drop us a follow, and keep that alert button lit so you know when we go live, so you can tune in and find out what the shit we're talking about here tonight. So thanks everybody for watching, and we love you. Be good to each other, be awesome, and beat hate with love. Bye.
Bye.